Sonder, you are sitting at a red light. The windshield wipers sweep rhythmically across your glass, clearing the rain for just a second before the view blurs again. You look over at the car idling next to you in the adjacent lane. A stranger is tapping their fingers on the steering wheel, their face softly illuminated by the green glow of their dashboard. They have a paper coffee cup in the holder, a small dent on their passenger door, and a look of quiet concentration on their face. This is Sonder. It is the sudden, startling realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own. Our brains are naturally wired to simplify our social environments. Through a necessary cognitive shortcut, you perceive the vast majority of human beings as background characters in your daily routine. This is an evolutionary survival mechanism, tracking the internal lives, struggles, and histories of every person you pass on the street would cause immediate cognitive overload. But in this brief moment, the illusion cracks. You realize this stranger has their own childhood memories, their own secret heartbreaks, and a routine tomorrow morning that is entirely independent of yours. You are merely a brief, passing shadow in their rearview mirror. Monachopsis. You stand in the center of a crowded room at a social gathering, holding a half-empty glass. Everyone around you is laughing, talking, and moving with an effortless grace. By all accounts, you belong here. These are your peers, your colleagues, or your friends. Yet, you feel a quiet, persistent detachment, as if you are watching the entire scene play out through a thick pane of glass. This is monachopsis. It is the subtle but persistent feeling of being out of place, even in familiar surroundings. This experience often stems from cognitive dissonance. Your internal emotional state, perhaps tired, anxious, or contemplative, does not match the high social energy of your physical environment. When this internal-external gap widens, your brain struggles to integrate the experience, leaving you feeling like an outsider in your own life. You begin to wonder if everyone else in the room is also pretending to fit in, playing their parts in a social game where no one has actually read the rules. Kenopsia. You walk back into your office building late on a Sunday evening to retrieve a forgotten set of keys. The main fluorescent lights are switched off, leaving the long corridors in a strange, gray twilight. Your footsteps echo loudly off the linoleum floor. The rows of empty cubicles, usually bustling with the hum of keyboards, phone calls, and hushed conversations, sit completely silent. This is Kenopsia. It is the eerie, forlorn atmosphere of a place that is usually bustling with people, but is now abandoned and quiet. Psychologically, your brain relies heavily on environmental context. When you enter a space specifically designed for social interaction and find it entirely vacant, your evolutionary warning systems are triggered. Your brain registers the absence of expected human activity as a potential anomaly or threat, making the silence feel heavy and unnatural. The physical space itself feels different, as if it is actively remembering the people who usually give it purpose. It makes you wonder if these structures exist to serve us, or if we exist simply to keep them from fading into the background. Chrysalism. You are curled up on the couch, wrapped in a warm blanket, while a sudden summer thunderstorm rages outside. Dark clouds have turned the late afternoon into an early dusk. Heavy rain lashes violently against the window pane, and a low, rolling rumble of thunder vibrates through the floorboards. Inside your room, the air is warm, the lamps are soft, and you feel completely secure. This is Chrysalism. It is the amniotic tranquility of being indoors during a severe thunderstorm. This feeling has deep evolutionary roots. For early humans, finding a dry, secure shelter during a dangerous storm was essential for survival. The sharp contrast between the hostile, wet environment outside and the safety of your current enclosure triggers a release of neurochemicals that reduce stress and promote deep relaxation. You are experiencing a form of ancient biological relief, yet the peace you feel is entirely dependent on the chaos outside. Without the threat of the cold rain, the warmth of your living room would lose its value. Opia. You are riding a crowded subway car, looking down at the screen of your phone. As the train jolts to a sudden stop, you look up and accidentally make direct eye contact with a stranger standing opposite you. For a couple of seconds, neither of you looks away. The gaze is silent, intense, and incredibly heavy. This is Opia. It is the ambiguous intensity of looking someone directly in the eye, which can feel simultaneously invasive and vulnerable. In human evolution, eye contact is a highly charged social signal. It immediately activates the amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center, triggering a sudden spike in physiological arousal. It is a channel of raw communication, revealing attention, intent, and emotion without the buffer of language. In that brief moment, the protective social masks you both wear are temporarily bypassed. You are forced to acknowledge each other's existence in its most basic form, leaving you unsure whether you have found a genuine connection or crossed an unspoken boundary. Vemödalen. You stand at the edge of a mountain overlook, watching a beautiful sunset spill gold and violet light across the valley. You pull out your phone, carefully frame the shot, and tap the screen to take a picture. But as you look at the digital image, a wave of disappointment washes over you. You realize millions of identical photos of this exact location already exist online. This is Vemödalen. It is the frustration of photographing something amazing when thousands of identical photos already exist. In the digital age, we suffer from a unique form of aesthetic exhaustion. We want our personal experiences to feel unique and meaningful. However, the mass replication of images reminds us that our perspectives are rarely novel, creating a conflict between our desire for individuality and the reality of global connectivity. Your photo becomes a duplicate of a duplicate. It raises the question of whether we are capturing the world because we truly appreciate it, or if we are just trying to prove to ourselves that we were actually there. Lachesism. You look out your living room window at a dark, swirling sky as a distant emergency siren begins to wail. Instead of seeking immediate shelter or feeling a sense of fear, a quiet, strange thought crosses your mind. You find yourself wishing the storm would hit, wanting to experience the chaotic rush of a near miss or a dramatic survival situation. This is Lachesism. It is the desire to be struck by disaster, to survive a crash, or to lose everything in a fire. Psychologists suggest this desire is a subconscious response to the monotony of highly secure modern lifestyles. When daily routines become overly safe and predictable, your brain can crave a profound disruption to jolt you out of your comfort zone. A disaster forces an immediate psychological reset, stripping away trivial worries and highlighting raw survival. You do not actually want to suffer. You simply want to be tested, to see who you would become when the structure of your normal life collapses around you. Altschmerz. You sit at your kitchen table with a cup of coffee, staring at the wall. An old, familiar anxiety creeps into your mind. The same worry about your career, your relationships, or your self-worth that you have carried for years. You do not feel sharp panic. Instead, you just feel incredibly tired of dealing with the exact same issue yet again. This is Altschmerz. It is a weariness with the same old flaws, anxieties, and problems that you have been gnawing on for years. Your brain is a creature of habit, and over time, negative thought patterns become deeply grooved neural pathways. When you encounter stress, your brain naturally falls into these familiar tracks, leading to a repetitive loop of worry. You are bored of your own issues, yet unable to easily escape them. It is the realization that your greatest opponent is not some external force, but your own mind, playing the same old records on repeat. Anecdoche. You sit at a noisy dinner table with a group of friends. Everyone is talking at once, laughing, gesturing, and raising their voices to be heard. You watch as one person starts a story, only for another to interrupt with their own anecdote, while a third person checks their phone. No one is truly responding to what is being said. This is Anecdoche. It is a conversation where everyone is talking, but nobody is listening. From an evolutionary perspective, conversation is often less about exchanging information and more about social grooming and establishing status. We have a biological drive to express ourselves and be heard, which can sometimes override our capacity to listen and empathize, turning dialogue into monologue. You realize the room is not filled with a shared conversation, but with isolated individuals, shouting into the dark, hoping someone will validate their existence. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe.